Aida is an opera in 4 acts by Giuseppe Verdi to an Italian libretto by Antonio Ghislanzoni. Set in Egypt, it was commissioned by and first performed at Cairo's Khedivial Opera House on 24 December 1871. Giovanni Bottesini conducted after Verdi himself withdrew. Today the work holds a central place in the operatic canon, receiving performances every year around the world. At New York's Metropolitan Opera alone, Aida has been sung more than 1,100 times since 1886. Ghislanzoni's scheme follows a scenario often attributed to the French Egyptologist Auguste Mariette, but Verdi biographer Mary Jane Phillips-Matz argues that the source is actually Temistocle Solera. Performance history. Cairo premiere. An initial success in Italy, Verdi originally chose to write a brief orchestral prelude instead of a full overture for the opera. He then composed an overture of the potpourri variety to replace the original prelude. However, in the end he decided not to have the overture performed because of its, his own words, pretentious insipidity. This overture, never used today, was given a rare broadcast performance by Arturo Toscanini and the NBC Symphony Orchestra on 30 March 1940, but was never commercially issued. Aida met with great acclaim when it finally opened in Cairo on 24 December 1871. The costumes and accessories for the premiere were designed by Auguste Mariette, who also oversaw the design and construction of the sets, which were made in Paris by the opera's scene painters Auguste Alfred Roubaix and Philippe Chaperon and Edouard Desplechin and Jean-Baptiste Lavista, and shipped to Cairo. Although Verdi did not attend the premiere in Cairo, he was most dissatisfied with the fact that the audience consisted of invited dignitaries, politicians and critics, but no members of the general public. He therefore considered the Italian premiere, held at La Scala, Milan on 8 February 1872, and a performance in which he was heavily involved at every stage, to be its real premiere. Verdi had also written the role of Aida for the voice of Teresa Stoltz, who sang it for the first time at the Milan premiere. Verdi had asked her fiancé, Angelo Mariani, to conduct the Cairo premiere, but he declined, so Giovanni Bottesini filled the gap. The Milan empress, Maria Wildman, was his favorite in the role and she repeated it a number of times at his request. Aida was received with great enthusiasm at its Milan premiere. The opera was soon mounted at major opera houses throughout Italy, including the Teatro Regio di Parma, the Teatro di San Carlo, La Fenice, the Teatro Regio di Torino, the Teatro Comunale di Bologna, and the Teatro Costanzi, among others. Other 19th-century performances. Details of important national and other premieres of Aida follow. Argentina, the 4th of October 1873, Teatro Colón in Buenos Aires. United States, the 26th of November 1873, Academy of Music in New York City, with Oscar Vittoriani in the title role, Annie Louise Carey as Amneris, Italo Campanini as Radames, Victor Morel as Amornis Row, and Evasia Scalera as the King. Georgia, Tbilisi, 1873–74. Germany, the 20th of April 1874, Berlin State Opera, with Matilda Mallinger as Aida, Albert Niemann as Radames, and Franz Betz as Amornis Row. Spain, the 12th of December 1874, Teatro Real. Austria, the 29th of April 1874, Vienna State Opera, with Amalia Materna as Amneris. Hungary, the 10th of April 1875, Hungarian State Opera House, Budapest. Poland, the 23rd of November 1875. 1875, Great Theatre and Polish National Opera, Warsaw. With Polish translation, Aida was performed for the first time the 9th of June 1877, France. The 22nd of April 1876, Teatro Lirico Italian, Salventado, Paris, with almost the same cast as the Milan premiere, but with Edoardo Rischi making his debut as the king. Russia, the 1st of December 1875, Mariinsky Theatre, St. Petersburg, Bohemia. The 11th of December 1875, New Czech Theatre, Prague, United Kingdom. The 22nd of June 1876, Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, with Adelina Patti as Aida, Ernesto Niccolini as Radames, and Francesco Graziani as Amornis Row. Monaco, the 13th of May 1877, National Theatre, Monte Carlo. Australia, the 6th of September 1877, Royal Theatre, Melbourne. Munich, 1877, Bavarian State Opera, with Josephine Szewski as Amorous. Stockholm, the 16th of February 1880, Royal Swedish Opera in Swedish, with Selma Ek in the title role. Palais Garnier, Paris, the 22nd of March 1880, sung in French, with Gabrielle Krause as Aida, Rosine Bloch as Amneris, Henry Celia as Radames, Victor Morel as Amornis Row, Georges-François Menu as the King, and Auguste Boudouin-esque as Ramphis. Metropolitan Opera, New York, the 12th of November 1886, conducted by Anton Seidel, with Therese Herbert Forster in the title role, Carl Zobel as Radames, Marianne Brandt as Amorous, Adolphe Robinson as Amornis Row, Emile Fischer as Ramphis, and Georg Sieglitz as the King. Rio de Janeiro, the 30th of June 1886, Teatro Lirico Fluminense. During rehearsals at the Teatro Lirico there was an ongoing quarrel between the performers of the Italian touring opera company and the local inept conductor, with the result that substitute conductors were rejected by the audience. Arturo Toscanini, at the time a 19-year-old cellist who was assistant chorus master, was persuaded to take up the baton for the performance. Toscanini conducted the entire opera from memory, with great success. This would be the start of a promising career. Laybach, Austrian Empire, the 1st of October 1898, conducted by Hilarion Benezek. 20th Century and Beyond. A complete concert version of the opera was given in New York City in 1949. Conducted by Toscanini with Hervé Nelly as Aida, and Richard Tucker as Radames. It was televised on the NBC television network. Due to the length of the opera, it was divided into 2 telecasts, preserved on kinescopes, and later released on video by RCA and Testament. The audio portion of the broadcast, including some remakes in June 1954, was released on LP and CD by RCA Victor. Other notable performances from this period include a 1955 performance conducted by Tullio Serafin with Maria Callas as Aida and Richard Tucker as Radames, and a 1959 performance conducted by Herbert van Karajan with Renato Tebaldi as Aida and Carlo Bergonzi as Radames. La Scala mounted a lavish new production of Aida designed by Franco Zeffirelli for the opening night of its 2006-2007 season. The production starred Violetta Urmana in the title role and Roberto Alagna as Radames. Alagna subsequently made the headlines when he was booed for his rendition of Celeste Aida during second performance, walked off the stage, and was dismissed from the remainder of the run. The production continued to cause controversy in 2014 when Zeffirelli protested La Scala's rental of the production to the Astana Opera House in Kazakhstan without his permission. According to Zeffirelli, the move had doomed his production to an infamous and brutal fate. Aida continues to be a staple of the standard operatic repertoire and appears as number 12 on the opera bass list of the most performed operas worldwide between 2009 and 2014, with 304 performances. As of 2016, the Metropolitan Opera alone has given more than 1,100 performances of the opera, making it the second most frequently performed work by the company after La Bohème. Roles. Setting. The libretto does not specify a precise time period, so it is difficult to place the opera more specifically than the Old Kingdom. For the first production, Mariette went to great efforts to make the sets and costumes authentic, given the consistent artistic styles throughout the 3,000-year history of ancient Egypt. A given production does not particularly need to choose a specific time period within the larger frame of ancient Egyptian history. Synopsis Antecedent. The Egyptians have captured and enslaved Aida, a Nubian princess. An Egyptian military commander, Radams, struggles to choose between his love for her and his loyalty to the pharaoh. To complicate the story further, the pharaoh's daughter Amrus is in love with Radams, although he does not return her feelings. Scene 1. A hall in the king's palace. Through the rear gate the pyramids and temples of Memphis are visible. Ramses, the high priest of Egypt, tells Radams, the young warrior, that war with the Nubian seems inevitable, and Radams hopes that he will be chosen as the Egyptian commander. Radams dreams both of gaining victory on the battlefield and of Aida, the Nubian slave, with whom he is secretly in love. Aida, who is also secretly in love with Radams, is the captured daughter of the Nubian king Amornis-Ro, but her Egyptian captors are unaware of her true identity. Her father has invaded Egypt to deliver her from servitude. Amrus, the daughter of the Egyptian king, enters the hall. She too loves Radams but fears that his heart belongs to someone else. Aida appears, and, when Radams sees her, Amrus notices that he looks disturbed. She suspects that Aida could be her rival, but is able to hide her jealousy and approach Aida. The king enters, along with the high priest, Ramses, and the whole palace court. A messenger announces that the Nubians, led by King Amornis-Ro, are marching towards Thebes. The king declares war and proclaims that Radams is the man chosen by the goddess Isis to be the leader of the army. Upon receiving this mandate from the king, Radams proceeds to the temple of Vulcan to take up the sacred arms. Alone in the hall, Aida feels torn between her love for her father, her country, and Radams. Scene 2. Inside the temple of Vulcan, solemn ceremonies and dances by the priestesses take place. This is followed by the installation of Radams to the office of Commander-in-Chief. All present in the temple pray for the victory of Egypt and protection for the warriors. Scene 1. The Chamber of Amrus. Dances and music to celebrate Radams' victory take place. However, Amrus is still in doubt about Radams' love and wonders whether Aida is in love with him. She tries to forget her doubt, entertaining her worried heart with the dance of Moorish slaves. When Aida enters the chamber, Amrus asks everyone to leave. By falsely telling Aida that Radams has died in the battle, she tricks her into professing her love for him. In grief, and shocked by the news, Aida confesses that her heart belongs to Radams eternally. This confession fires Amrus with rage, and she plans on taking revenge on Aida. Ignoring Aida's pleadings, Amrus leaves her alone in the chamber. Scene 2. The Grand Gate of the city of Thebes. Radams returns victorious and the troops march into the city. The Egyptian king decrees that on this day the triumphant Radams may have anything he wishes. The Nubian captives are rounded up, and Amornis-Ro appears among them. Aida immediately rushes to her father, but their true identities are still unknown to the Egyptians, save for the fact that they are father and daughter. Amornisro declares that the Nubian king has been slain in battle. Aida, Amornisro, and the captured Ethiopians plead with the Egyptian king for mercy, but the Egyptians call for the death, claiming the reward promised by the king. Radams pleads with him to spare the lives of the prisoners and to set them free. Gratefully, the king of Egypt declares Radams to be his successor and to be his daughter's betrothed. Aida and Amornisro remain as hostages to ensure that the Ethiopians do not avenge the defeat. Act 3. On the banks of the Nile, near the Temple of Isis, prayers are said on the eve of Amorous and Radam's wedding in the Temple of Isis. Outside, Aida waits to meet with Radams as they had planned. Amornisro appears and makes Aida agree to find out the location of the Egyptian army from Radams. When he arrives, Amornisro hides behind a rock and listens to the conversation. Radams affirms that he will marry Aida, and Aida convinces him to flee to the desert with her, in order to make their escape easier. Radams proposes that they use a safe route without any fear of discovery and reveals the location where his army has chosen to attack. Upon hearing this, Amornisro comes out of hiding and reveals his identity. Radams feels dishonored. At the same time, Amorous and Ramses leave the temple and, seeing Radams with their enemy, call the guards. Amornisro and Aida try to convince Radams to escape with them, but he refuses and surrenders to the imperial guards. Act 4, Scene 1. A hall in the Temple of Justice. To one side is the door leading to Radam's prison cell. Amorous desires to save Radams. She calls for the guard to bring him to her. She asks Radams to deny the accusations, but Radams refuses, certain that, as punishment, he will be condemned to death. Amorous implores him to defend himself, but Radams firmly refuses. He is relieved to know Aida is still alive and hopes she has reached her own country. His decision hurts Amorous. Radam's trial takes place off-stage. He does not reply to Ramses' accusations and is condemned to death, while Amorous, who remains on stage, pleads with the priest to show him mercy. As he is sentenced to be buried alive, Amorous curses the priests while Radams is taken away. Scene 2. The lower portion of the stage shows the vault in the Temple of Vulcan. The upper portion represents the temple itself. Radams has been taken into the lower floor of the temple and sealed up in a dark vault, where he thinks that he is alone. As he hopes that Aida is in a safer place, he hears a sigh and then sees Aida. She has hidden herself in the vault in order to die with Radams. They accept their terrible fate and bid farewell to Earth and its sorrows. Above the vault in the Temple of Vulcan, Amorous weeps and prays to the goddess Isis. In the vault below, Aida dies in Radam's arms. Adaptations. The opera has been adapted for motion pictures on several occasions, most notably in a 1953 production which starred Lois Maxwell and Sophia Loren, and a 1987 Swedish production. In both cases, the lead actors lip-synced to recordings by actual opera singers. The opera's story, but not its music, was used as the basis for a 1998 musical of the same name written by Elton John and Tim Rice. Recordings.